Should Mandalorians ever become Jedi? How old is Huyang? And what's Thrawn's real plan? Ahsoka's first season finale may have ended on the mother of all cliffhangers, but that doesn't mean it didn't answer a few questions along the way. Ahsoka's season finale opens with Morgan Elsbeth being rewarded for her service by the Great Mothers. As all 4 characters are Night Sisters, it's only fitting that Morgan's prize be dark and magical in nature. After receiving a shadowy spell that gives her glowing green eyes and a cool tattoo to match her elders, she's given another gift, a sword. This isn't just any sword, of course. The Great Mothers conjure it out of thin air, and when Morgan holds it, the blade ignites with a green flame.
The Blade of Talzin.
You'll recognize the Blade of Talzin if you've seen Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Mother Talzin was the leader of the Night Sisters for many years, right up until the end of the Clone Wars, or at least she was the leader of the Night Sisters of Dathomir, the ones who dwelled within the primary Star Wars galaxy. It's difficult to say whether or not Talzin would technically outrank the Great Mothers, and her age at the time of her death was unknown. Nevertheless, the matriarchs clearly respect her enough to give her name to the sword they give to Morgan. Talzin only uses the weapon once in the Clone Wars in a duel with Mace Windu, so it must have returned to the Night Sisters' ethereal plane after her death, waiting for its next champion. Morgan Elsbeth isn't the only character to get a new blade in Ahsoka's final episode. Ezra also forges a new lightsaber for himself, crafting the weapon in Huyang's workshop. The droid even provides him with an identical emitter to the one used by his old master, Kanan Jarrus. The shot of Ezra igniting his blue lightsaber is enough to make any Rebels fans a little teary. In the same scene, Ezra seems amazed to learn just how old Huyang is. The droid mentions that he helped Kanan craft his own lightsaber once, but when Ezra asks his exact age, Huyang only responds vaguely.
Old enough to know that the relationship between a master and an apprentice is as challenging as it is meaningful.
The truth, however, is far wilder. The canonical sourcebook Star Wars Timelines claims that Huyang was first powered up in 25020 BBY, placing his birth right around the same time as the beginning of the Jedi Order. That's right, Huyang puts Yoda's ancient age to shame. In fact, he actually helped Yoda build his lightsaber when the little green guy was just a little green youngling. He would have forgotten more about the Jedi than anyone could ever know, although since he's a droid, he probably hasn't forgotten a thing. After Huyang helps him build his new lightsaber, Ezra asks the droid what happened between Ahsoka and Sabine. It's an enlightening moment for the audience too, as their rift hasn't yet been explained in any official Star Wars story.
Ahsoka became afraid that Sabine was training as a Jedi for the wrong reasons after what happened on Mandalore.
If you've seen The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, you don't need Huyang to tell you what happened on Mandalore. The planet suffered a genocidal Imperial purge that killed almost every Mandalorian, including Sabine's own family. This loss likely hit her extra hard because, as shown in Rebels, Sabine was ostracized by her family for years. The Imperial occupation of Mandalore forced her parents to disown her, and it took a lot of work for Sabine to forgive them and accept them into her life again. Just a few years later, they were murdered in the Purge. Working so hard to regain her family, only to have them stripped away, must have been devastating. But Ahsoka's response is also interesting. It sheds more light on why she didn't want to train Sabine and shows just how terrified she was of losing another loved one to the dark side. After reuniting with Anakin in the World Between Worlds, however, she doesn't seem scared of that anymore. Right before they charge into a barrage of Star Destroyer laser fire to try to stop Thrawn, Ahsoka asks Ezra if he has any intel about the mysterious temple or the villain's scheme. He says that, unfortunately, he has no idea, as approaching by himself was never an easy task. But in his denial, he actually reveals something quite interesting.
Look, Thrawn found this place. He woke up the witches, rebuilt his starship.
The idea that Thrawn didn't just meet the Great Mothers but actually woke them up is curious. Woke them up from what? Were they in some kind of magical sleep? Were they dead, only to be resurrected by their own necrotic powers? We know from Mother Talzin and the other Night Sisters in the Clone Wars that powerful witches are capable of existing outside the material realm. It's so hard to imagine the Great Mothers entering some prolonged slumber, though that would beg questions as to how old they actually are. Arguably more interesting is the larger implication of Thrawn finding the temple. What else did he wake up alongside the Great Mothers? Are those casket-shaped boxes piled high in his Star Destroyer even more sleeping witches? Or maybe something even darker? Whatever the real answer, it's apparent that Thrawn now has a full arsenal of dark magic on his side. You might wonder what exactly Thrawn is fighting for at this point. The Empire has fallen after all, and the First Order is decades away from reaching full strength. Why does this Chiss still fight for its legacy? Well, Ahsoka's finale offers a brief hint at the answer to that question. After Morgan sends the Night Troopers to hold off Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine, Thrawn asks her if they realize that they'll die. Morgan claims that they were honored to make the sacrifice for the Grand Admiral.
It is for the Empire. The security of our galaxy.
If you've read any of Timothy Zahn's Thrawn novels, this line probably rings true. Thrawn has always been portrayed as someone who believes that tyranny is necessary in order to preserve order and security. This line is also likely a reference to a more specific galactic threat, the Grysk hegemony. First appearing in the Disney canon in the novel Thrawn Alliances, the Grysk are a race of brutal conquerors from the unknown regions of the main Star Wars galaxy. Thrawn initially leaves his own home in the Chiss Ascendancy to seek out allies against the Grysk hegemony. His search ultimately leads him to a high station within the Empire. Thrawn's line in the Ahsoka finale suggests he might still have this mission in mind.